It's good to get the win-loss record evened up at 2-2. That's exactly what the Huskers accomplished, 28-14 over Louisiana Tech, and back into Big Ten play with a date against number 2 Michigan. All right, that turned out to be a pretty impressive performance 2 years ago, despite the loss late. Again at home, not so much last year, 34-3. We will see what the Huskers have in store for the Maize and Blue this Saturday. We got Greg Peterson here, of course, Husker Online. Greg's been here for 139 consecutive shows. We appreciate Greg. And Justin Adams hosts our post-game show right here. So join Justin as soon as the Wolverines and the Huskers hit double zeros. Guys, how we doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Going to the game Saturday, so keeping the expectations realistic, but it's going to be a good time.
If you see Justin out at the game, say hi.
Say what's up.
If you see Greg on the sideline, I guess you can yell at him. You won't be able to shake his hand or anything, but you can yell as loud as you want, and maybe he'll turn around and give you a wave. But Greg, we'll start with you in terms of the scoring. It was exactly the same. Huskers led 14-7 at half. They put up a 14-7 margin in the second half, and voila, 28-14 over the Bulldogs of Louisiana Tech.
Yeah, I mean, it was an okay performance in my mind. Maybe overall, maybe a B, I would say. Missed a few opportunities, but all in all, Nebraska's defense has really shined and held up really strong, and being up there ranked in the top in the nation in rush defense. If you can run the ball and you can stop the run, then you can win games, and that's what they're trying to do. And I thought Heinrich Arbord, ran really physical and tough and made it count, and they didn't give the ball away. So all in all, I think it was a pretty decent performance. You might have wanted more points, so they kind of left some points on the board, a couple penalties here and there, but I think everybody was happy up until the time the rain came and there's a lightning delay, and kind of put a damper on things, and not many people came back and made us all stay there for another extra hour.
Yeah.
So
I don't know your take on this, but I kind of feel like the weather delay really put a hamper in what could have been the final score, because that just kind of breaks up all momentum. You're up 20, whatever it was, to 7. And then you have to come back out and know that really you just need to put the game away with 7 minutes left. And so it's hard to come out with that fire. And Louisiana Tech probably came out fired up. They're like, let's make a push. So
I kept saying I thought they just wanted to call a game off and go home.
Yeah, well, they probably looked at it one of those two ways. But yeah, so that last defensive score, it just seemed like our defense came out flat. It's hard to come out with intensity out of that. So
they got a first down and 25, and they give up 24 on a pass play on 1st and 25.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I was like, as soon as it started raining, I got the heck off of the field and went into the little media room on the field level, and was sitting there drinking the water and kind of wasted my time. I'm like, I want to get to the post-game media room because I don't think I want to go back out here in this. And I waited too long, and then, the TV all of a sudden shows, we're in a lightning delay. Please leave your seats. And I'm like, oh no, I waited too long. And that's when it was raining pretty substantial. And I just got soaked trying to fight the crowd going the other way that everybody was trying to leave from.
Yep.
It messed up my equipment for the rest of the night.
Man, that's tough.
Oh.
One programming note, folks, you see it right there on the screen, courtesy John, is that we've got a double header Nebraska-Michigan, Michigan-Nebraska show So for this hour, it's of course Huskers Live with our Nebraska guys, and we're simulcasting on the Michigan channel. And then next hour, the Michigan guys, headed up by John D'Adamo, hosting the Michigan show, simulcasting on the Nebraska channel. So whether you're on the Michigan channel or the Nebraska channel, just sit tight. You got 2 hours of Nebraska and Michigan coverage. And you know what, by the way, John, if you're listening right this second, if you have any interest in coming on here, giving us a quick scouting report on the Maize and Blue, I'll shoot you a link. If not, no worries. I can talk up some Michigan football as well.
I did my homework. I can help, I think.
They're good dudes. It's a good show.
Yeah. There we go. Yes.
I'm gonna
A
try
buck 35 on the ground for Anthony Grant on Saturday. So, of course, he was the main guy last year, and Gabe Irvin somewhat beat him out. But obviously, he's back at it as being by far the number one guy. So he's going to need to stay healthy, and he's going to get his share of carries. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, they have to depend on him from here on out. Because what used to be a big room is now shrunken quite a bit, to even the fact where you got 6-year senior Joshua Fleeks, who's been a wide receiver his whole college career, is now switched back to running back where he played in high school, to try to bolster that room. So, yeah, Anthony has got some pretty large shoulders to hold up here for the rest of the season. And, he's getting all the reps pretty much. I mean, for the first team reps. And, they trust him again, that he's worked on that fumbling issue that he had earlier in the season. And they trust him fully. And, yeah, it's his show right now. And, we all thought that when the year was starting anyway, it would be. But it just kind of came about in a stranger way than we kind of figured.
Yeah, it was the fumbling issues throughout fall camp. That was the reason he was second on the depth chart too. But I think he needed that game. It was very important for him to go through a game and just really get a few, get reps and have a good game where he doesn't turn the ball over. But it's the inexperience in that running back room that's going to be the struggle. Emmett Johnson got some touches, but not a whole lot of room to work with, not a lot of time for him to get momentum, because it was Grant and Harburg, it was their show. They were running the ball well. So I wish we wouldn't have passed as much in the first half. I think when we catch our rhythm is when we really start just imposing our will and running the ball. So, and Harburg just being so big and physical, he's a load to bring down.
Yeah, with the little wiggle they're starting to do now, running the option.
Yeah.
Running out of the I formation and running the option, old school Nebraska.
Yeah, it was like short pass game, setting up the run. It seemed like they're trying to play to the line strengths a little bit, just trying to get rid of the ball quicker, so that way they can limit, because Michigan has 9 sacks this year, so they're tough defensively. So, and they've had 7 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles, 3 interceptions, I think. So, they have a really solid defense too. So it's going to be a tough matchup. That's for sure.
Before we bring in John, who's waiting in the wings, we appreciate John stopping by from our Michigan channel. What are the thoughts concerning the quarterback position? What did Matt Rule say after the game? What did he say today about how he's handling the starting quarterback spot?
Well, Matt Rule talked yesterday, and that's their day off. But today, Coach Satterfield talked, and both Heinrich's 100% go, practice fully today, and so did Jeff Sims. So, Matt Rule says he's going to play the guy that gives us the best chance to win.
It's Harburg.
And we'll see, as it goes throughout the week. So it kind of depends. It's always an open competition here. And so whoever wins the week will start.
Mm-hmm.
If they're both 100% healthy, but Sims is not 100% healthy yet. So
that
about 80%, 70 to 80%. So Harburg obviously would be the guy that you go with.
Not only that, those ankles are really easy to re-aggravate. So even when he feels 100%, it may be who of us to, even just keep him out maybe a little bit longer so he doesn't re-aggravate it, because
you can't fault him for wanting to play.
Not at all. He wants to, he wants to get it back for that last, the first couple games. So,
yep.
Michigan, Nebraska, get it together on Saturday, of course. In Lincoln, we got John D'Adamo, who hosts our Michigan post game and also our Michigan live show, which, folks, has always been on Wednesday, that is moving to Tuesday night. You know what? Makes it convenient for all of you. Right after this show, join John, whether you're a Michigan fan, Nebraska fans, you'll want to join John because he is going to have a Nebraska guest, and we'll be doing the Michigan live show with the Nebraska preview. John, appreciate you stopping by.
What? I couldn't have planned that better. We had to move the show anyway, but this is just like perfect. Doubleheader. You get your Michigan perspective, you get your Nebraska perspective, and you flip-flop. It's great.
All right, I'm going to let these guys cut loose because I'm here talking all the time. So this is the Nebraska show. So we'll start with Greg in terms of you guys slicing up Michigan, Nebraska.
Yeah. I just, what I've kind of noticed with Michigan over the course of the season is they seem to have gotten better in the run game and wanted to run the ball more. However, Donovan Edwards hasn't really played up to, what we anticipated. Blake Corum, insanely efficient. I think he has 8 touchdowns on 50 something carries. It's like a 13%. Yep. It's wild. He's averaging over 6 a carry. But do you think that that is going to be an issue in the game, or do you think Donovan Edwards is just going to be a matter of him having to step up and doing it? Because it seems like both of our running back rooms are slightly top heavy. So what's your take on that?
Yeah. So obviously I think the guys are going to be fired up. You got to look with Donovan. Remember, he's a hybrid running and receiving running back. So he also has exactly 100 yards in the air.
Yep.
So he's used in reverses. He's used in kind of RPO concepts a lot. So Blake Corum is definitely your number one running back, rushing yards. Obviously, like you said, 8 touchdowns. It's pretty great already. But Donovan Edwards will be used, and don't forget JJ is going to be used too.
Yeah.
So JJ will run on the perimeter. He'll keep it if he doesn't see a read open.
Yeah.
And he's a dynamic player, and he's really tough to defend against.
And he's making great decisions. His decision making has improved significantly. I've noticed, and he's completing at almost an 80% clip. So insanely efficient. So yeah, that's going to be really tough to stop. So we're going to have to really stay in man. But the offense, the 2 receivers over 200 yards, but they're both averaging over 17 per reception. So do you see them trying to maybe beat us over the top or explosive, or do you think they're just going to kind of nickel and dime and control the pace of the clock like they normally do? Because that's what they're doing a great job of, is just shortening the game, and the opponents can't score. I know their defensive numbers aren't quite the same as Nebraska's, but they've also been on the field a lot less. They're really getting off the field quickly. So I
think it'll be a similar game plan. Rutgers, obviously great, 19th going into that game. They were 19th ranked defense in the country.
Very physical.
Very physical. Schiano always has really physical Rutgers teams. And so the game plan was very simple. It was keep the Rutgers defense on the field as much as humanly possible. Let's it's Jim Harbaugh's MO. That's what he's done the whole time he's been at Michigan, and his other stops too. Pound the rock, pass when you have to. It goes all the way back to San Diego and Stanford days. Same thing. Strong O lines. And so, to your point, I think you're exactly right. I think they're going to have like 12, 13 play drives, long drives, running the football, with some JJ runs mixed in, with some short slants mixed in, and with the occasional deep ball to Roman Wilson, who has been, the red zone answer for Michigan these
They
last
have
few
8
games.
touchdowns too, I think, or 6, something like that. But another thing too is Drake Nugent. Well, the entire offensive line is playing at a high level, but Drake Nugent being one of the top centers in the league, like, you know, that's going to be a tough test with our run defense being number 1 in the country as far as I think total yards per game and maybe even average. But that battle of the trenches there, do you see? I mean, do you see a clear advantage for Michigan, or do you think, based on what you've seen, the way Nebraska schemes up the 3-5, because Michigan has struggled with the 3-5 in the past, do you think that's going to cause issues with that offensive line, just seeing different looks and different styles of blitzes and stuff like that?
I think in the first quarter it's going to be. So if you watched in the early part of the Rutgers game, obviously Rutgers scored a touchdown right away. And then Michigan obviously, you know, struggled a bit when they took the field, and it took some time for both sides of the ball to gel. On the O-line in particular, they're finally taking the advice that we had on Michigan Wolverines Live, and we said put Ladarius Henderson at left tackle, and we said put Carson Barnhart at right tackle, and then put Trente Jones as number 6, right, on either side for that 6th personnel. And they finally, I think, are going to that at the end of the last game. They finally were in that set. So if that's the case, if you see that exact personnel group, look out, because I think you've got the best possible matchup there in the O-line. But yeah, 3-3-5 has not been the easiest for us. It hasn't.
You don't see it a ton too.
You don't see it a ton, but you know, I don't know the DC super well. I mean, obviously, Jim, you know, we had you know, TCU. They scheme very well. You know, there's other times that we've had the 3-3-5 that, you know, we've done better against them. So yeah, it just depends.
Got it. All right, Greg, I've taken enough time.
You got me. I'm good.
Well, can I ask a question? Because I wanted your quarterback. So I was actually just watching some Nebraska film while I was working out, and, you know, trying to prepare for these shows and the 8 p.m. And I was watching Harburg just run, and these crazy touchdown runs. He also passed the ball, I think, semi-effectively at times, but his running ability is something that Michigan is going to struggle with, because the one area that Michigan's defense struggles more than any others is running quarterbacks. So that's an area that they're going to have to adjust, and they're going to have to adjust quickly.
Yeah.
So what do you think about how he's going to do?
Well, you know, he runs physically. I mean, you know, and he can't run for a long period of time. Apparently, he gets pretty gassed. But no, he is a strong runner. He always has been. I mean, back in high school when I covered him, hell, he was the gunner on the punt team. You know, he did everything, and you know, he's finally been unleashed. I mean, you know, coming from a guy that, you know, came here and, you know, has been on the scout team for a couple of years, and then questions being asked if you're open to playing other positions starting, you know, in spring camp. And then, you know, just Coach Rule and Coach Satterfield believing in him. And, you know, you just don't want this to go to his head. I mean, he's a humble guy. But it was funny yesterday, Matt Rule had said, I don't want to see a local restaurant with a Harburger, you know, offered on the menu. But, you know, I've always known that he could do this.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's been very effective when he's come in. I mean, both of them can kick you in the teeth with the run. More Jeff Sims. I mean, you know, that's been both of their, you know, best traits so far. But yeah, I mean, Nebraska's kind of finding a new identity where it's run first right now. And that's what they're really, you know, they're emphasizing in practice and stuff. So the passing game is still a work in progress, basically, to everybody. And with all the injuries that they've been dealing with skill position guys. Yeah, you're plugging in defensive backs into the wide receiver spot.
And even Harburg even has a reception on the season. So when Sims was starting, I think the game comes easier to him because I don't think the decision making is as hard because he's just a hard-nosed football player. So I think he just knows how to make the plays and just make sure he gets yards in some way. And the receiver room, they've had some drops and stuff like that. And he even had a long, I think 50+ yard touchdown call back in that last game too.
Yep.
So
saw that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he's got some speed when he gets in the open field. He'll outrun some guys in the open field, but 6'5", just a load to bring down and just a good football player. And I don't know if Michigan fans know the story. He grew up as a Nebraska fan, Nebraska kid. So yeah.
Well, he went to County Catholic, and like I mentioned, I mean, he was the quarterback. He played safety. He was the kicker, the punter.
That's crazy.
He was the gunner on the punt team. He was the kick returners on punt return and kick return. Mm-hmm. So he never came off the field, and always towered over pretty much everybody. Kearney Catholic was a Class C school, so always a very impressive athlete. But actually, family was from Louisiana and had moved here when he was a couple years old. Mm-hmm. And made Kearney their home. So, nice. So he's kind of grown up a Nebraska kid. And, but even back in high school, this is where he wanted to come. And, now he's the starting quarterback at Nebraska, which is pretty good, there haven't been very many of them from the state of Nebraska lately here in the program. So, yeah, he's doing a really good job of handling things.
Yeah, Cole, our buddy who, by the way, Cole, appreciate you going on all the shows. I mean, he's one of our the biggest supporters on Voice of College Football, and I think this is extremely accurate. When I think of this guy, I think of Taysom Hill and all the different areas that he can attack you. When he's at the quarterback position. Now, I actually think that your guy is a little bit more accurate than Taysom Hill last time he was under center.
Yep.
Harburg can make some throws, mm-hmm. and I literally went up through almost every play of both of the last two games, and he was making some solid throws, and he's your best rusher.
Yeah.
Like I literally just saw he is literally your best rusher on the team
right now. Yeah.
He struggles with the deep ball, but the short to intermediate pass game, very, very efficient.
Yeah, your top three rushers are Harburg, Anthony Grant, and then Jeff Sims would be number 3. So yeah.
The biggest thing that I've made a point on before is Nebraska lost Trey Palmer in the offseason. So, having a guy like Trey Palmer, he had he set basically every receiving record at Nebraska. Casey Thompson had a little over 2,000 yards. Trey Palmer had over 1,000 receiving. So if Jeff Sims had a guy like that right now, I don't feel like he has a true one. Marcus Washington has the ability to be that, but he's had some drops and stuff like that. So it's been Billy Kemp, really. It's the inconsistencies in the wide receiver room more so than it is him. But I think people don't take that into account that, if he had Trey Palmer, I mean, it'd be a completely different story because he could blow the top off the defense. So
you just have a bunch of freshmen basically in the background here that are still trying to learn, what's going on at this level. So you see him getting Malachi Coleman more and more snaps.
Yep.
And Jalen Lloyd more and more snaps. But it just takes time for these freshmen.
Exactly.
Not everybody can step right in and be a superstar. So
yep, exactly.
I mean, losing Trey Palmer definitely hurt, but
Gabe is Irvin Jr. I saw him as kind of an impact player.
He was playing well until the season-ending injury.
Yeah. Him and Ramir.
The same.
So they're out for the rest of the year.
Yep.
That's tough. That's why we're down to basically Anthony Grant, and then second on our depth chart was Emmett Johnson, who's a redshirt freshman, and then we have Quentin Ives down there, who's a true freshman. So it's just a lot of inexperience, and these guys haven't got reps. And against a team like Michigan, it is going to be a battle of attrition. So that's going to take a huge toll. So it's just a matter of how well they can balance the offense so they can make sure those guys are fresh there in the later part of the game.
Bone-led corn-fed here is reminding us that we can also go the route of forgetting all reasonable analysis, and you can just bleed your team's colors and make comments like this. We will run on Michigan. Why, you ask? Because we are Nebraska and they're not.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it. I think that's a great comment.
He always comes in with a great comment.
I want all Nebraska fans to be like that. Like you gotta get it heated up. You know.
Hey, two of the 8 all-time winningest programs in college football history.
Too many letdowns for me to say that. I just keep my expectations realistic at this point. I'm going to be at the game, so
Nebraska's looking for win 915 in program history. Come on, go Big Red.
Big question.
Could this settle the 97 national championship once? We've got to settle it at some point.
Yeah, I think it will to Nebraska fans.
That's been settled.
John, this is a good year to pick out as being the one that's going to settle 1997. You could have done that last year too.
No, that doesn't count.
No. But that was in Ann Arbor, so
don't kick us while we're down.
Almost 2021, almost had you.
Yep. And never mind me had a good point with the Chancellor Brewington breakdown with the freshman having a huge playbook to learn because he kind of broke it down because he was played on the offense last year. So a lot of interesting perspectives from him there too. If anybody wants to check out those videos that we posted on the channel, me and him. So, and if for anybody interested, we are recording today too. So that way that video is going to be coming tomorrow probably.
You know what's interesting is this is only the 15th meeting between Nebraska and Michigan.
That is kind of wild, actually.
Yeah, given the proximity of the two, it's not like they're across the country.
Mm-hmm. I guess it makes sense with the Big 12 though up until
right.
So, yep.
What is the Nebraska path to victory, Greg? Then Justin.
Control the line of scrimmage, be physical and hold the ball, run the ball, stop the run, stop J.J. McCarthy from, creating plays.
Mm-hmm.
Secondary's got to come up big. I mean, they already know they got to be coming up and stopping the run, but also be wary of those receivers. So, just be prepared. It's going to be a big-time environment. And, don't be intimidated by number 2 team in the country coming into your house. And you already know the stakes. It's a huge opportunity for Nebraska. That's the way they have to look at it.
Yep.
It's a way to salvage a 2-2 start that's kind of disappointing at this point. So, control what you can control. Don't give the ball away.
And like what it is we're going to have to play a near perfect game because kind of what Nebraska's doing right now is what Michigan's doing at a high level offensively. I mean, the defense, you can
model what Michigan does.
Yeah. Let's say the defense is a wash. But the offensive side is where that Michigan has the advantage. And so I think it's going to be, the defense is just going to have to play a lot of man, and it's going to be trying to keep everything in front of them and get pressure on McCarthy as much as possible, because if we can stop the run, we can force him into the pass, and that's going to be key, is that pass rush. So just because he's so good at decision making, they got to find a way to get him in situations where it's tough. He can't go through his progressions and stuff like that. So
with all due respect to the Huskers, if the defensive comparison between them and Michigan is a wash, then you have improved considerably, and I believe you're good things are ahead this season.
I'll stay statistically, and I'll go as far as that. But
well, I'll just
because Michigan's had an easier schedule thus far.
Correct.
I'll Tony White, though, Nebraska's defensive coordinator today, as he was asked, about those statistics right now of where you're ranked in the country, and he said, I've been involved with that kind of stuff before, but we don't care until the last game is played. Then we'll celebrate those type of numbers. So
yeah, because even in that Colorado game, like it was 13-6 until a few minutes left in the third. Our offense kept them on the field so much at altitude. The pass offense really got the numbers really got blown out of proportion there because our defense just wore down because they were on the field so much. So they had that late explosion offensive passing game. Otherwise, I feel our offensive our defensive passing numbers would be right on par because our defensive backs are playing at the highest level I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, Isaac Gifford and Omar Brown both, if they have just a lights out game, Michigan falls asleep and takes the game for granted, which Michigan has done in their history in recent past, that they've occasionally slept on a team. They're going into Nebraska, which is pretty much sold out almost every, like they've been sold out since how long? What, like
November 1962.
So I'd say that's your path is the secondary's got to be on fire and pick off JJ a couple of times.
And so far they've been playing fiery, tackling well. We're getting a lot. This is the most physical I've seen the defense, getting a lot of hats to the ball when they stand it up. But yeah, those guys are going to have to play. They played exceptionally well all year, and Malcolm Hartzog, Javen Wright, all those guys. So it's going to be up to them to just to make sure that they don't like you said, just get overwhelmed by the stage, but I don't think they will. But yeah, it's going to be on them how this game plays out. And I think we're either looking at a close Nebraska win or a Michigan blowout. That's kind of like what I think of it.
There's no possibility of a Michigan win that's close.
I just think the percentages are a lot lower, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it's
going
possible.
to be. I'm sorry, Justin.
Michigan.
I apologize. This is going to be a Michigan blowout or a what?
I think it's going to. I think the most likely scenarios are either a close Nebraska win or Michigan, taking control of the game. Just because Nebraska has been. My thing is, Michigan has. They started slow offensively last game, but Nebraska has been off to a slow start as well. And I think our offense is going to need to take advantage early on in the game if Michigan gets off to a slow start, because it's going to be a battle of who can get the lead and who can control time of possession, because I think both teams are going to want to do that. So I do think that there's a possibility that, if Nebraska gets off to a slow start and Michigan starts imposing their will early and we have to play from behind and pass the ball, then that leads to Michigan winning decisively. But I think if we can invoke our game plan, not turn the ball over, that's a recipe for a potential upset.
So I'm going to ask this question of everyone, then I'm going to make a point to your point. I'm going to counterpoint your point. So Justin, what percentage chance do you give Nebraska winning this game?
I would say maybe 20%.
Okay. John.
Nebraska winning?
Yes.
5%.
Greg.
Nil.
Wow.
I'm a little higher.
I'm at least giving you the five, like it's the competitor,
25-0.
I'm not betting anything on it.
If you asked if I wasn't going, I'd probably say otherwise.
Oh, your sheer presence in the stadium.
It's not that. I just want that to happen more.
Okay.
So I'm trying to speak it into manifesting. It's real, so
you're speaking it into 20% existence.
It hasn't worked before. Okay. It hasn't worked the last few years, so I don't know why I'm still going.
I would be
in by 2 touchdowns.
I'd be in the 12 to 15% range. So the point I wanted to make here is that obviously Michigan's an overwhelming favorite. It's roughly 19 or 20 points.
Yeah.
They're a team that's won the Big Ten, gone to the playoff the last 2 years, all the things we already know. Okay. If Michigan wins big, nobody's going to be surprised. If Nebraska wins at all, people are going to be surprised. If they win big, then that would be just a complete shock.
Yeah.
So my point being, when you say that if it's close, you believe Nebraska has a better shot than Michigan of winning. The only thing there is Nebraska's done nothing this season or in recent seasons for me to have any confidence that they're going to win a close game.
Right. I think my point is being there is those are the most likely scenarios if Nebraska wins and Michigan wins. I think those are the highest percentage chances for each team to win. And so, and based on those reasonings behind it, but I just think it's more likely that if we lose, it might be via a couple touchdowns or something like that versus I don't, like you said, I don't think we have a chance to blow them out. So if we win, it's not going to be a big win. So I just think playing the percentages and just kind of how the game, kind of like just how I feel like the game might play out, that those are the most likely scenarios. But again, like I'm trying to look at this objectively, from a football standpoint.
I think this game kind of it dictates who wins the first and second quarter. I think
exactly. It's going to be the first half that determines the game.
I mean, because second half, if Nebraska's down, I don't give them a single shot to come back and win that game.
Exactly. That's the thing. If we end up behind and have to throw, that's where I think the game might get out of hand. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a matter of like we get off to a slow start and we have an early touchdown and maybe a touchdown in the second quarter, but our offense really kicks into gear late in the second and into the third. But I don't think that they can afford to do that against Michigan. So I think that's kind of my take on the Michigan side of things. If Nebraska doesn't get out there, but I think if Nebraska comes out there and does what they want to do, then the game will be close. But, I think if Nebraska wins, their most likely scenario, of course, is to win, not, by a couple touchdowns, 10 points. It's going to be close. Does that kind of make sense? Or are you still...
I'm with you, Justin.
Okay.
I'm with you.
All right, just making sure. I was trying to tell by the face, but I just couldn't. You're very stoic, so I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
well, Greg surprised me.
I could see things going kind of 7-7 going into the second half, or like even 10-10, and Michigan then overwhelms in the second half with just the talent level. So I could see it being a very, very close game in the first half, actually.
Yeah. Not for the whole game though. You're not going to get it.
No, I think Michigan's gonna do what it does.
I think there's
once we get to the second half.
Power there on the Michigan side.
It's more likely they do what they do for sure.
I'm thinking this game's probably in the 34-13 range.
Mm-hmm. That would. I mean, all right, whatever. I'm going to the game, so I'm not going to make a score prediction. 35-34.
We have the same 34. Yeah, I'm actually giving Nebraska a little bit more, 34-17.
Okay. I was thinking in the range of 17, but I think it's going to be more so like a 27-17, hopefully.
28-17, I'm saying. Michigan.
Great. You say 28-17, but you're giving Nebraska zero chance of winning.
Absolutely. I've been doing this far too long to say they have a chance to win.
I think another thing too that's going to be important. Alvano is very, very young. Our kicker, Tristan Alvano, is true freshman. So, it's going to be interesting to see how he plays in a big game like this with his lack of experience. He's going to be a key too because. If we can't get down there and finish drives, we have to get points. So, and Michigan's kicker is solid. So, that's going to be another factor that's important. Is we're definitely going to need to be able to kick and make field goals when we're on that side of the field because we need all the points we're going to be able to get.
All right, folks. Appreciate y'all being here for Huskers Live. We come your way each and every Tuesday at 7:00 Eastern, 6 Central. That is John D'Adamo. Opposite corner to me, he hosts our Michigan postgame coverage and also Michigan Wolverines Live, which very convenient for all of you is right after we get done here. So you just stay right here. You can just stay where you're at. If you're on the Michigan channel, stay right here. If you're on the Nebraska channel, stay right here. And we are simulcasting the two shows. So you're all set. John, I want to respect your time if you need to get ready or do
Yes,
anything.
get prepped. Yes, but thanks for having me on, Mark, and everybody. I appreciate
you
it.
having on, man. Thanks for your perspective, man. Appreciate it.
Yep, good seeing you, John.
All right.
Thanks,
20
John.
minutes. We'll see you at Michigan Wolverines Live.
All right.
All right.
Go
Good
Blue.
stuff.
Sorry, I feel like I caused stirred up something there. I thought I was being realistic, but I don't know. Maybe I'm biased without realizing it. Unconscious bias.
Stirred something up. You didn't stir anything up.
No. I just think with the
Sounded like all our score predictions were pretty much in the general range.
same par, but yeah, I'm
I was waiting for that blowout prediction.
from me.
Yeah.
That ain't happening. No, I've learned my lesson. Like, I don't even get mad after the Nebraska loses anymore. I just get kind of sad at this point. But I will say
my friend.
I will say the last Michigan game was probably the worst I took a loss in a long time, besides the 0-1 national championship game when I was 11. But I cried after that one. But the Michigan game, the last time is, that was a heartbreaker for sure.
Are you talking? You're not talking about last year when they got blown out. You're talking about 2 years ago when they.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks for the reminder. Appreciate that.
Oh, I don't dwell on the loss. I just thought that was a great game and a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the first time they pulled out the Thunderstruck AC/DC light show during third quarter, fourth quarter switch. And, that thing's pretty amazing. The stuff they've added to it now this year. But that was just that's a very memorable game in my mind. Many of them that I've been to inside Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, I read an article. They asked some of the Michigan players about the environment from that game, and all of them said it was great. Like, they loved playing in it, and
that one gave you goosebumps.
Yeah, one of them said like they've played in Penn State and all that, and they think that game was just crazier, louder and all that.
Yeah,
I also think that was at a time when there was still hope that the Scott Frost era was going to work.
That's why that one hurt.
And that was indication that, we're upset that we lost, but you played within 3 points and right down to the wire of a top 5 team in the country.
I think I was beyond moral victories at that point. I was just frustrated that Martinez fumbled, and it's like I anticipated. I never felt comfortable with the lead. And it's like almost like I anticipated. But this year, I think I'm taking a little different, just because, again, I reset my mind with Matt Rule. I'm not gonna dwell on the 1-score losses from the past, completely different staff, So I don't believe in jinxes or that carryover. So I think Rule is got this team in a position where they can make plays down the stretch if they need to.
Hey, at least they give you hope that they can punch it in at the end of the game when they need to, instead of, kind of like what we saw in the Minnesota game to open the year when they kind of threw it away. But I mean, they're starting to look like a team that's starting to figure it out a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the tackling's getting better and better, and that's going to be a huge key.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, the defense is playing off the charts.
And the offensive line is better than I've seen it in any 5 years under Frost.
I tried to tell people that they
told me
aren't that bad. I mean,
you told me. I mean, I thought they were better, but you had a good take on them, and you were dead on. So
they love what they're doing now. I mean, with the huge run emphasis, I mean, they're thrilled with it right now.
Yep.
When you talk to any of them, so it's pretty nice to see. You haven't seen them all that happy like that in a long time.
Yeah, it's just the team's just more fiery again. They're just interacting with the sideline in a way, and they're just fired up. It's just a different energy from the team overall. So I think that alone gives us a chance. They just need to come out with fire and just play a perfect game.
I think a big key to it too is the way they've been practicing. Like Matt Rule always says, and his coaches, that iron sharpens iron. So, all those reps they take in practice and the physical practices that they have on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, really paid off. So,
But
the big key is, hopefully Luke Reimer is good to go for the game.
Yeah.
And that would be a big loss there if he can't play.
Yep. And Adam Shepardson. So I understand that, but still, I got to give credit where it's due in comparison. I wasn't comparing them to Michigan. I was comparing them to the previous staff versus this year. So.
All right, folks. We appreciate you being here. Come on back next Tuesday. Next Tuesday at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. Join Justin after the ball game. And I've lost track. What time is kickoff?
2:30 Central.
Yeah, 2:30.
Okay,
I was going to say
3
12:30, but yeah.
3:30 Eastern.
Where are you doing your post game from?
Sounds like an ABC
So
game.
I talked to Mark about it if he wants me to potentially join in the Michigan post game from my phone. I can do that from the hotel. I can bring my laptop or something. I could do it from there, pop on there real quick, or do it from the stadium. Whatever works the best. So
We'll figure it out.
I'm trying, and I can also do the post game from the hotel if need be. Before we go back to the
figure it out. We will figure it out, folks, and let all of you know. And if you are subscribed and you've got the notifications on, and then you will know when Justin's going live. All right, folks, and you can keep it right here for the Michigan show up next with a Nebraska guest, and John will be hosting.
Should have thought about getting you a media credential for the game.
Who, me?
Yeah, it's too late.
I don't know how to go about doing that, but
well, I mean, I could have gotten you on.
Oh, well,
got me in there and could have done it from there.
Well, all right, next time I'll get with you. So
next time, let's do that.
We have an intern that we're going to start bringing to the games, and we didn't get him a credential because it was too late.
Yeah, I got you.
So
yeah, I'll let you know. And
talking about that today with my boss. So
I appreciate that. I'll let you know next time I'm in. By the way, no, I'll ask you offline.
All right, folks. Good stuff. Make it on back next Tuesday, and we will see you then. Join Greg on Husker Online right here on YouTube or on the site huskeronline.com with all the news conference footage and so forth. All right, guys. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you back next week.
Sounds good.